What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Board podcast. My name is Steve Wright. I am joined by my esteemed co-host, Mr. William Monroe. How you doing, Will?
Doing pretty good, Steve. How are you, my friend?
Pretty good. Ready to get week one going. You know, it snuck up on me. I think I don't know. Probably because I was planning all the wedding stuff, but it snuck up on me at least. How about you?
Yeah, it always does seem to sneak up. Got a couple more drafts here. One keeper draft tonight, and then a super flex draft tomorrow. So still kind of in that draft mindset, but will flip pretty quickly here in 2 days as we're recording here on a Tuesday. As we have football almost 48 hours away from now, man. Can you believe it?
Yeah, we're close, man. We are close. First game is Dallas, Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah, should be a good game. I mean, I think it's in Tampa. Dak's probably still kind of getting his feet under him, so assume Tampa's the favorite. But that offense in Dallas can definitely score some points, so could be in for an exciting game. We'll see.
Yeah, could be just another weird Thursday game, you know?
Yeah, so the first game I feel like does tend to be a little better from a fantasy perspective, and probably because of the preparation time that they get there. But the additional Thursday games do tend to be a little wacky at times, and a lot of it is just lack of prep. Most teams are playing on a Sunday and then have to play again on a Thursday. But hopefully this one, good teams and a lot of preparation time, amounts for some exciting action and some fantasy points.
Yeah, the potential is definitely there. It's not, it's not one of those matchups where you're looking, it's, the Jets and whoever. It's just the Lions, and you're like, okay, this is a terrible first game to start the season on. So it should be good.
Yeah.
Of course,
and let's always get the Super Bowl champ there and another viable team.
Yeah, of course, whether or not Dallas is viable is always up for debate. I feel like they're pegged to win the division year in and year out, and then they never do it. So, I guess we will see. Should be a fun game. But today, if you're newer to the show for this year, we do a waiver show every week, and then we do a start-sit show. Obviously, not a lot to really talk about waiver-wise this week, so we skipped that episode, jumping right to the start-sit questions. We tend to do a few quarterback, a few running back, a few wide receiver, and then maybe some tight end, some flex, something like that, and then we finish off the show with some trade questions, both Dynasty and redraft. So if you have those questions on a weekly basis, hit us up on Twitter at TrustYourBoard. We will try to get them into the doc. Will, do you have anything you want to touch on before we jump in?
No, nothing major. I know you and I have the Megala Bowl tomorrow, so we'll probably update everyone on that. I can maybe give just a brief update. I had my home league draft on Sunday. So I had the 7 spot and lucked out that I had Aaron Jones fall to 7. Someone took Barkley a little earlier than you and I have been kind of saying all year. So the 7 spot, I was 6 running backs I liked and got Aaron Jones at 6. Got Kelsey in the second round. Running backs were going early and often, though. Out of the first 2 rounds, we had 16 of 20 players were running back.
Wow.
So it was flying.
Yeah,
only Adams, Hill, Kelsey, and Diggs went. And even the first pick of the third round was running back. And then there's a run receiver. So turned out, fairly well. I got Brady and Lance as my quarterbacks in the 12th and 15th respectively. Came away with just Kelsey in the tight end position there in the second round. The Rams defense got in the third to last round. So defenses didn't start going until like the 14th or 15th, but a couple teams, I guess, were looking at some other teams, so pretty happy to get the Rams there. I usually don't get top defenses. Tampa's kicker, I like to pair kicker and quarterback if possible, especially on a good offense with Brady. And then running backs, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Raheem Mostert, Melvin Gordon, David Johnson, and James White. And then receivers, Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, Jerry Jeudy, Corey Davis, Tyler Boyd, Will Fuller, and Brian Edwards. So pretty balanced team.
Yeah, very nice.
Banking on hopefully, getting a solid RB2 with Swift and some depth with Mostert and Joe Gordon. But I'm not too disappointed in my receiving core, considering didn't start until the 4th round and didn't get my 3rd one until the 8th round.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I think you did pretty good for yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we look at the league, and this is our 16th year, so everyone is pretty well established. So pretty balanced league overall. But yeah, excited to have a couple more drafts here. But I think today we'll start sit action to talk through and go over what options. Oh, some breaking news here, actually, Steve. Looks like the Saints are releasing Latavius Murray.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, Adam Scheffner just tweeted it out.
Oh no, that's not good.
Did you just pick him up?
Didn't I draft him in our league? Oh man,
No, I know he was available in a lot of leagues.
Damn it, I did.
I think a lot of people were questioning, who to add, who to pick up. Take a look if Tony Jones, I believe, is him or no? There's a running back that got some carries in the preseason for New Orleans.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but I do know. I do know.
Tony Jones might have been the Jacksonville one. Let me see.
Man, that is just apparently at 3:22. So just like 2 hours ago, he was reported that he made the roster.
Yeah,
I'm seeing the same thing. Man, that sucks.
Yeah, Tony Jones, New Orleans running backup. I think he's probably expected to be the backup running back. So if you have room on your roster, maybe you have an IR spot where you can stash someone. He could be a good pickup here. We're not usually doing a pickup game or pickup episode this week, but Tony Jones could be an opportunity for some people.
Well, yeah, and we'll see what Latavius goes. Baltimore tried out Le'Veon Bell. They tried out Freeman. I'm sure they'll bring in Latavius as they try to plug all these holes they got. So
yeah, Latavius. There's a lot of guys out there. Gurley's still out there, so there'll probably be some bouncing around for sure.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. Does that sound good?
Yeah, let's get started.
Cool. So starting off with the quarterback position here, Will, we got Zach Wilson at Carolina or Fitzmagic versus the Chargers. Who do you like?
Yeah, so when I first read this, I thought it was, I just saw Wilson. I didn't even see the C. Wilson.
I had to go fix that. That's going to have to remember that from now on.
Yeah, I was pulling up the matchup, and I was like, Russ Wilson's not playing Carolina. He's playing somebody else, and I had it up there. So makes sense. And now it makes a little more sense why we're asking the question. Because I think Russ will probably be locking him in. But he does have a tough matchup, possibly in Indy. But regardless, here we're looking at Zach Wilson at Carolina or Fitzpatrick at home for the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a better defense, but they do have some injury concerns, whether it be recurring or current here. So I do think matchup-wise, it favors Zach Wilson. It is a rookie on the road for his first game, so that's a little concerning. Doesn't have the best set of weapons, whereas Fitz is a little more established in that in the NFL. Obviously, going to be a first game with this team, but a little more confident there. So I'll give a slight lean to Fitzpatrick because I just would rather start him here in a week one and want to see what Zach Wilson can do. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm not going to risk my week one on a rookie, especially it's not going to be a rookie on the Jets. No. It'd be one thing to start, Lawrence, who we'll get to because people have questions about Lawrence. But I'm definitely not doing Zach. I'll stick with Fitzmagic. With that in mind, I'm paying close attention to Zach. He had a good preseason, and it'll be nice to see what he can do. So it'll be a nice test for him. It shouldn't be the most difficult defense for him to play against. So I'm interested to watch him, but there's no way I'm starting him.
No. Well, we're in line there. We'll see how we are here. The second one, Matt Ryan at home for the Eagles and Trevor Lawrence on the road in Houston.
Yeah, so another rookie. This one's a little more tempting because we know that Houston team is bad. Very, very bad. But I still think I'm probably taking the conservative route and going with Matt Ryan. He should be fine. I guess, if you wanted to make an upside play, I guess in theory, Lawrence has more upside than Ryan. Because A, we just don't know what he's going to look like. And B, he's got just a fantastic matchup against Houston. So he might have better upside, but I don't, it's the same thing as Wilson. I'm more confident in him. I really don't want to roll the dice on a rookie. So I'll go with Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you as well. This one possibly a little closer just because Houston seems like it's going to be a really bad team, and Trevor Lawrence seems like a little more more established than Wilson, just from a playing in big games standpoint. Playing in multiple playoffs, national champion there in college, and just playing against top competition more often. More better weapons around him, but I would still go with the established Matt Ryan and what I think could be a shootout. I think the Eagles defense is going to be better than people think, but I still think it's a good chance this is going to be a shootout with the Falcons defense not looking so good coming into the season. So I will go with Matt Ryan here.
Okay, and our last quarterback question here. We got Kirk Cousins at Cincinnati or Sam Darnold versus the Jets. Who do you want?
Yeah, this one is pretty tough. New offense here for Sam Darnold with Carolina. He's got a lot of weapons around him. We're not sure what that Jets defense is going to look like, but you'd imagine it's going to be better. Robert Saleh at the helm, even if it's just kind of a early on boost of a new head coach. So I lean a little more on the Cousins side, even though it's on the road, since he's not a great defense, probably in the bottom 10. And you've got established weapons there with Thielen and with Jefferson and Cook. I think overall, Cincinnati may be able to put up some yards, some numbers. Minnesota's defense is set to be better this year. But I just trust Cousins here to start. We'll see. I have high hopes for Darnold. I like a lot of the weapons there in Carolina, but I'll take more of the sure thing or sure volume plays here in week 1.
I am with you in that I feel like Cousins is the correct play, but I'm going to call my shot and I'm going to actually pick Darnold. I don't like buying into the revenge game narrative that often, but I feel like Darnold's been through so much shit with the Jets and the Gase
really
and everything.
has.
Like, I feel like it is, a game he's probably got marked on the calendar. I wish it was like halfway in the season that it was happening and not the first game, so he'd be a little bit more established. But I don't know. Like you said, both defenses are bad. Cousins obviously has got a much bigger track record, and you're going to trust him more. But I'm going to take the shot on Darnold. I don't know. Just a feeling. We'll see how it turns out. We'll have to remember this one.
Yeah, definitely can't hurt to take a shot there. Let's see. Next up here, we're looking at running backs, and we have a full PPR Kareem Hunt in Kansas City or Damian Harris at home versus Miami.
This is another one I think I'm going to surprise people with and call another shot. I'm going with Damian Harris on this one. I think Hunt feels like the easy pick. It's PPR. It's against Kansas City. There's going to be a lot of points scored, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. The Browns defense is, very good. It's the first week. They've had plenty of time to scout the Chiefs. So I don't know. I could see that game end up being like just a surprise low scoring game. And I don't think that is in Hunt's favor. And meanwhile, I think Damian Harris is going to get tons of usage with, Mac Jones being back there. I think he's a big benefactor of that switch from Cam. And I think he's just going to have a good week against, what'll probably just be like an average defense or something in Miami. So another shot being called on my part. I think this is a bold decision. I'm going with Damian Harris. How about you?
Yeah, it might be surprising, but I'm going to go with Harris as well. I'm a little more worried about the Miami defense. They do have a good defense coming back from last year, and I think most of the team is the same. You got Byron Jones coming into the second year there. He had a down year, but he should be better. Their top corner, Xavier Howard, is back. So I am a little worried about Miami's defense, but being at home in New England, you got the home crowd behind you, rookie quarterback. So I think Harris is going to get the volume, which is going to be key here. I think both are going to be, quality flexes, possibly every 2 if you went heavy elsewhere. But I think it's more just the volume of Najee Harris, of Damian Harris versus Miami.
Okay, and our first pick 2 of the season, PPR, Jonathan Taylor versus the Seahawks, Miles Sanders at Atlanta, or Chase Edmonds at Tennessee.
So locking in JT, it's pretty easy. In week 1, I'm always a proponent of start your studs. I know some matchups could be scarier than others, but we don't know. A lot of these teams are very different than last year defensively. And even if you have the same roster, a lot of things can change throughout the summer. So I'm always going to start your studs. You drafted Jonathan Taylor in the first round. You can't sit him here in week 1. And it's definitely closer than it has been in the past, Edmonds and Sanders. I think, last year it would have been easy to start Miles Sanders. I still am going to go with Sanders here in what I think is going to be a high-scoring game. There is some worry about the pass catching for him, but I think it's more recent memory. Last year, he didn't catch the ball well, but ran really well. His rookie season, one of the knocks coming out of college was, can he be a consistent pass catcher? And he was an excellent pass catcher his rookie year, but didn't run the ball super well. So I think, there's a chance here you could put it all together and really be a 3-down back. Not guaranteed at all, but I will, take the gamble here in week 1, if you will. I don't think it's really a gamble. This is a guy that I think a lot of people are going to be flexing and looking at as their RB2 possibly if you went receiver, tight end, in the first few rounds. So I will take Taylor and Sanders here. What about you?
Yeah, same. I don't. To me, picking Chase feels like making, it's just you're being cute. And I don't think you need to be cute right now. I mean, like you said, Jonathan Taylor's locked in. He might have, he probably doesn't have the most difficult matchup here. Tennessee's defense is pretty good. Well, I mean, who knows? It's hard to say.
We can kind of go off of what we think right now, but a lot of these defenses, who knows?
It's hard to say. But yeah, I mean, you start your studs. You're definitely starting Jonathan Taylor. Miles Sanders was drafted high enough to still be in that stud category for me, and he's got a pretty good matchup. I'm interested to see what he does with, Hurts having a full off season, preparing to be a starter, what that does for that offense. So I will go with Taylor and Sanders pretty easily here. I'm just not ready to roll the dice on Edmonds.
All right. Next, we have a half PPR, Myles Gaskin in New England or Melvin Gordon in New York versus the Giants.
This one is, to me, probably the most difficult one we've got so far. Gaskin at New England, the guy that most people think is going to be the starter. He's definitely the starter, but the lion's share guy, there's some concerns about a timeshare, but we don't know, that could just be off season stuff. But looks to be the guy there in Miami. And then you have Melvin Gordon, timeshare to some degree, you got to imagine, with Javonte Williams, but he's got the easier matchup. I think I'm going to go with that easier matchup and go with Melvin Gordon. I can't see Javonte getting the majority of the carries in week 1. I'd imagine it's going to be a slow transition over the year. But yeah, for week 1, I don't want to play games with a New England defense. It's going to be better because we're getting a lot of people back off that COVID list. So yeah, I will go with Gordon here, but it is close.
Yeah, I'm actually there with you as well. I think this is one of the closer ones we've seen. Gaskin, is definitely going to probably have more of the volume. This could be one of the higher volume games for Melvin, barring injury, as I think the rookie will continue to gain carries there with him and could be more of a split. But the matchup, I think, definitely plays in Melvin's favor. The Giants defense, I think they're going to be better than last year, but I don't think they're going to be on New England's level and the environment that you get there going up to New England against Belichick, getting a lot of players back on that New England defense this year. That could be, sneaky, really top 5 defense. And maybe not even sneaky because they were pretty good last year, but I think they're going to be markedly better this year as well. So I am a little worried about, Gaskin. I know he's smaller. I was listening to another podcast and they're just kind of talking about him, how his comp, has really been size-wise Austin Eckler, who is a dynamic player and is the lead back there. But I think you've seen it in LA that they don't want to give him all the carries to keep him healthy. So they're going to work people in. Well, Miami seems to, be saying Gaskin's the guy. I do think they are going to work other people in. So, I mean, if he can get to that 18 to 20 touches a game, he's going to keep the value he had last year. But I will take Melvin here, who I think is on line for at least 10 to 15 touches. And if he can kind of get above that and they can be touch for touch there, I think he's got the better matchup here.
Okay, and on to our wide receiver section here. Well, we got Deebo Samuel at Detroit, Robbie Anderson versus the Jets, and Rondell Moore at Tennessee. Just pick him one.
Picking one. This one's tough. I mean, I'll rule out Rondell Moore. I'm excited to see him play, but rookie first year against kind of two established options that I think a lot of people are really excited to have as their third or flex option. So Rondell, I'll rule out right away. This is tight here for me. I probably lean Deebo just because of the matchup against Detroit. Detroit does have, I did think they did draft a pretty big corner, I think 2 years ago. So, definitely, I think maybe not a horrible defense, but I don't think they're going to be the level that I could see the Jets being this year. Robbie, new quarterback. So I think there's just a little more uncertainty there in Carolina. I'd start Robbie in a lot of positions, but I think I would lean Deebo here. But it's very close, and these are two guys I both would not mind starting in the flex or even your third receiver.
Yes, I agree. On all, Moore, I'm removing him immediately. I don't think you'll probably be able to play him all year, but I'm definitely not playing him week one. Deebo, Robbie, both very interesting. Both have really good matchups. Deebo is... I was about to say Deebo has more history with his quarterback, but it's not exactly true, is it? But I will, Deebo, Jimmy G, both they've worked plenty together. They both know the schemes. Robbie and Darnold worked together a couple years ago. Darnold's new to the offense. I'm going to use that as my tiebreaker. I'll go with Deebo here.
All right. So next up, we've got a half-point PPR. Jerry Jeudy in New York against the Giants, or Laviska Shenault in Houston against the Texans.
This is a fun one. Two second-year upside guys. Houston being a terrible defense, Giants being, what are they, middle of the pack, I think?
I think they were pretty bad last year, but they did make some signings and add some players. So I think they probably should be closer to the middle of the pack, probably top of the bottom half, so maybe somewhere between 16 and 20.
Yeah, that's fair. So not a good defense, not the worst like Houston's going to be, but not too bad. I think I'm going to go with Jeudy. I'm interested to see, his chemistry with Teddy and just how things are going to play out there. Plus, I think, the Giants offense is probably going to be more formidable and could put up some points against Denver. I don't have that same confidence in Houston. Teddy's nothing to be, wowed about, but you still got a rookie quarterback throwing the ball for Shenault. He's highly regarded, but it is his first game in the NFL, his first real game in the NFL. You don't know what it's going to look like. So I will go with Jeudy. It is close, but I think we've seen more from him. I just trust him in the quarterback situation a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Judy's to play here. Both are, like you said, two second-year guys that a lot of people are hoping that we get a breakout from. I think getting Teddy starting in Denver is going to help Jeudy out. He's a really good close to the line of scrimmage guy. Can make quick catch and turn it in, break a tackle and make a big gain. So I think Teddy's going to spread the ball around, and he is really good at the shorter intermediate routes where Teddy, I think, will thrive with him. Whereas Laviska, I think he's going to be used all over the field. Could be a gadget player as well as working on the field. And going against Houston, who knows? It's obviously not supposed to be a great defense, but I could also see this being the James Robinson show, whereas you can ease Trevor Lawrence in his first game because he can maybe get up early with a touchdown or two and then really just work James Robinson the rest of the game to try to salt that game away, because I don't imagine Houston's going to be able to score too many points here.
Agreed. And our last wide receiver, 1.5 point PPR here, we got Hollywood Brown, Marquise Hollywood Brown, I guess we should say, at Vegas, and Devonta Smith at Atlanta.
Yeah, this one's tough because I think we're preaching, we want to see what the rookies can do before starting them here. But, you have a low passing volume with Hollywood, and Mark Andrews is going to get the lion's share. Now with some injuries to Bateman, and did they have another receiver that's injured as well?
I don't think so. I think Sammy's healthy. Boykin might be hurt. Not that he matters.
Maybe that's what it was. But I mean, this is a run-heavy offense, but they did lose 2 running backs as well. So I don't really know what to make of Hollywood. I don't think I want to start him, but in a certain situation, maybe you have to. Whereas Smith, I mean, I saw him a little more this year, Eagles training camp and the preseason games, and he looked really good in the opportunities he had. Didn't get to play with Jalen Hurts too often in games. He was Hurts only really played a series, but Devontae Smith looked really good, and I think he's going to be the number 1 target here. Possibly Zach Ertz to start the year since he's back and ready, but I think Devontae Smith has just a ton of upside here, so I'll take Smith.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's funny because, it is counter to what we've been saying, but you got to follow the volume sometimes, and he should be getting plenty of volume. Normally, I would go in there and say, well, look at your opponent, look at the projections. If you need upside, take the upside shot on Hollywood because, he can just get a couple boom plays and, make or break your week. But that's really hard to do in week 1. You can look, obviously, your sites have projections. You can utilize them, but I mean, they're not going to, you can argue whether they're accurate on any given week, but week 1's definitely going to be hard to predict. So, if you want, you could use your own, logic and look at the teams and think, I can win this. I'm going to go the safer route, Devontae Smith, or, I look like I'm going to lose. I need some upside. Then I go with Hollywood. But, in a vacuum, I'll go with Devontae.
All right. So that wraps up our receivers here. We've got a couple flex question and then a tight end question here. So first off, we have a flex question where we're just picking one option. Mike Davis versus the Eagles, DJ Chark in Houston, and Jamal Williams at home for the Niners. Super
easy. I don't even think there's a lot to say. I'm not playing Chark for all the reasons I mentioned about Shenault. You don't know who you don't know how Lawrence is going to do. You don't know who's going to be the primary target for Lawrence. Chark got beat up in the offseason verbally, not physically, but verbally. So I don't want to start him. Jamal Williams, it seems like Swift's fine and he's going to be playing. Even if he doesn't, I don't think I want to start Jamal Williams on the Lions against the 49ers defense. So I'll take Mike Davis pretty easily here.
Yeah, I'm right in line with you. I mean, it seems like Swift's going to play. If he doesn't play, and you want to take a shot with Jamal, because I think he could get some major target volume in that scenario going against the Niners. And the game script that's going to be negative, but he's one that I think could catch a lot of passes. But it seems like it looks like Swift's going to play, even if it's, playing some, they split carries. So in that scenario, I'm definitely going to be going with Davis. Like I said, I think the Eagles defense is going to be better, but not great. So I think Davis is going to get the lion's share of carries there for Atlanta. And I'm just not ready to go with a passing weapon in Jacksonville. And if I do call my shot, I think it's, as long as he's healthy, Marvin 1, Shenault 2, and Chark 3, and just my confidence level in the players for that team. So pretty easily Mike Davis.
Okay, and our last start sit. It's actually a tight end question, tight end premium league. Would you rather start Fursker versus the Cardinals or Hooper at Kansas City?
Not obviously thrilled with either of them. I'll take Hooper because I know you laid out a scenario where the game is low scoring, but it has just as a high scenario that this is a very high scoring shootout. So I would not be opposed to, if you need to start a second tight end, throwing in Hooper there and hoping for a touchdown or a couple big plays in a game where they may both have to be throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah, I think I end up on the opposite end of things. I just don't like or trust Hooper. I mean, it's coming back to last year when he moved from, Atlanta to Cleveland and people were drafting him high and I just didn't see it. He was a product of Atlanta. Now, if it is a high scoring game, then yeah, he's probably the one you would want, but I'll take Fursker here. Especially, tight end premium, he's getting a little bit more points in a PPR fashion. I think that probably fits Fursker better. I might be wrong, but I think it fits him better. Like you said, I don't like either of the options, but I will take. I'll take Frisk over Hooper. And that's going to take care of our start sits. So we got some trade questions to go over here, Will. We got 2 dynasty questions. First one, PPR. Would you rather have Elijah Moore and Melvin Gordon or Daryl Henderson and Marquise Callaway?
I think pretty easily the Moore Gordon side. I guess you can make an argument this year that Henderson's going to be pretty valuable being the only guy, but with Sony there, I don't know if that's the case. I think that could be just an even a split as Melvin and Williams, whereas I would much rather have Elijah Moore than Marquez Callaway. I think Callaway is going to get some volume, and he could be, once again, more relevant the first couple weeks. But I think long-term career, Elijah Moore is definitely kind of the best piece in this entire trade. And you're given an established running back in Melvin that I think's got at least one good year in Denver. And then, maybe he bounces to somewhere else to kind of be a good, nice timeshare with somebody, or gets an opportunity in a team that needs a running back next year. So I'll take that first side.
Yep, pretty easily with you. I could see it working out on the other side. Elijah Moore doesn't turn into anything, or Zach Wilson doesn't, and they both flounder. Melvin Gordon's kind of a one-year guy, and maybe Henderson has a really good year, just takes the role away from Akers. But I don't see any of that happening. I'll take the Elijah Moore side pretty easily for everything you said.
All right, next up, you got another Dynasty 12-team PPR, Amari Cooper for Devonta Smith and Marquez Callaway.
This is also another one that's not close for me. I'll take Amari Cooper. Devonta Smith is a good start to this trade, but I'm going to need something more than Callaway. He's a good redraft guy until Michael Thomas comes back, but maybe. And then after that, who knows what he's going to be. So I just need something better. I'd rather have a pick or, something. Give me Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I'll take Cooper in a vacuum. I mean, you could maybe make the argument hey, you've got 4 stud receivers that are all around that age, and you can afford to get rid of Cooper to get younger. Maybe you have Tyreek, Keenan Allen, and Tyler Lockett and Amari. And they say, okay, well, let me see if I can get a younger receiver here, and I'll trade Amari for Smith plus. And maybe it's Callaway, maybe it's second, or maybe you can get a first out of it. But I could see where you'd have that argument. And if you're really high on Smith and you think that he is going to break out and, turn into a Justin Jefferson level guy, or, any of the guys that broke out last year, if you want to call your shot, great. But I think you could probably get a little more back with Smith for Amari.
Okay, now we're entering the world of redraft here. We got 10-team PPR. Jonathan Taylor and Deontay, or Eckler and CeeDee Lamb.
This one, I'm pretty easily going to go with Eckler and Lamb. I think, redraft, I want to, kind of shoot for the upside with the receiver there with Lamb. And I think Eckler's still going to give you a good baseline, whereas, Taylor obviously could be a top 5 guy. But with the uncertainty of the offense, I'm a little more worried about him, redraft-wise. Whereas Eckler, I think, is going to be, a solid back-end RB1, maybe a high-end RB2. And Lamb, you kind of have a shot at that top 5 wide receiver 1 level guy. Whereas Deontay, I think, is just solid in that wide receiver 2, maybe flex range.
Yeah, I'm going to take the... it's interesting. I will take the Eckler side, though. I've said a lot in the mocks. I was kind of down on Jonathan Taylor this year. Not down, just not as high as everyone else has him. And I do think I like Eckler a little bit more than him this year. And then, Lamb, like you said, Deontay Johnson's going to be, he should be a pretty steady guy all year round, but Lamb's got that upside. I'll take the upside shot. Especially in a 10-team league when, people like that can really differentiate your team when you have a big breakout. So I'll take the Lamb Eckler side there.
Yeah, Eckler actually went at 10 at the turn there, and Taylor went at 13. So Eckler went ahead of Taylor in my draft on Sunday.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Next one here, redraft PPR. It's 3 for 3. So we're made a big trade here. Herbert, Keenan Allen, and Tyler Boyd. Or Dak, Amari, and T. Higgins.
It's an interesting trade. I do think I like one side pretty easily, but I think it's probably fair overall. If you're looking at Dak and Herbert, I think they're pretty much a wash. I would rather have Dak. We've seen more from him. I trust him, more than I do Herbert. So for me personally, it's Dak. It's probably a wash for most people. Keenan and Amari, another one that's probably a wash, but I think leans Keenan a little bit. Probably doesn't have the same upside as Amari, but he's going to be a lot safer, and he's still going to be in that wide receiver 1 category. We always say year in and year out, Amari's got the upside. I don't know if he has it anymore with Lamb and Gallup there, but he seems like he still has it. Plus, you got the stack there. That's nice. And then Boyd and Higgins, it's easily Higgins for me. I don't think that's a big debate. So I will take the Dak side, and I'll grab that stack too. I think that's pretty interesting. How about you? Where do you fall on this one?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's 2 stacks and 2 Cincinnati receivers. So it's an interesting trade. I will go with the Dak side, just barely. I think there's more volatility there. So like if you have more upside shots with the rest of your team, and you want to get just more solid players with Herbert, Keenan, and Boyd, I'm definitely okay with that. Just a lot of volatility. Jamar Chase, as he come in and take stuff away from Higgins, and Boyd's just still that kind of underneath guy. Amari has a lot more competition than Keenan does on that team, and Dak has a little bit more of the injury question mark there. I mean, you could, I guess, argue Herbert going into the second year maybe regresses a bit, but I think there's definitely more volatility on the Dak side. I'll still take that side in a vacuum, but it's definitely close.
And our last one here, Will, a quick 1-for-1, 10-team half-point PPR. Your team has Travis Kelce on it. Would you rather have Tyreek Hill or Stephon Diggs?
I get the wanting to differentiate a bit. So I mean, I'd be okay if you traded Tyreek for Diggs, but I'll still take Hill in a vacuum.
See, I think I am on the opposite side. I would rather differentiate a little bit. You're a Mahomes injury away from basically just losing your season. So I would rather diversify a bit and add Diggs instead of Tyreek. But yeah, I mean, at the end, I don't think you would disagree. It's a fair trade straight up, right? Yeah, that's fair. Cool. Well, Will, how did it feel to get your first Start Sit episode out of the way?
Feels like we're almost here at football. It's crazy to think. Yeah,
fun time. So that is going to wrap up the show, everyone. Tune in next week as we get back to the waiver episode here, and then get your Start Sit questions over to us. But until then, trust your board.